Okay, parcel tracking meeting. This is for Teslim. Teslim, I have now left the company. This is my voice. This is my legacy. I'm leaving it with you.
In some years' time, when you hear this, don't forget.
Yeah. Okay, so the proposal is to put the parcel tracking or order status call to action in the header. Hypothesis is that users on the mobile devices will want to access that, so we're just adding some easy way to find it. The icon will look something like this. It doesn't have to look like this, it's just a proposal. This will not be on the page, it's just there for illustration purposes. I've also put an order status link in the footer as well. Next page. When the user clicks that button for order status and they're not logged in, an order status window appears. It requests the user's RS number and their account number. So the order number and the account number. The track button is disabled until the user enters details. Once the user has entered some details and the details are incorrect and they're not found, you get some inline errors. Oh no, can't find it, try again. If the RS account is invalid, similar type of thing. Yeah, that's invalid, we didn't find it. Great, do something. If all are invalid, it's like order number not found, RS account number invalid, please check and try again. So it's just an amalgamated version. As you can see, the track button was enabled in the last screen. Over here, if the user's logged in, the RS account number is populated by default. However, the field is not disabled because users might want to track for multiple accounts. If the user's logged in and the order's not found, it just errors again. Now I'm going to go on to a success. If the user puts in successful numbers and it successes, there's no message, it just goes straight to the page. I'm looking at one carrier here with two consignments. So one carrier being Parcel Force as the carrier and two consignments. So historically this was done in a horrible way, which Teslim knows, and I don't know if you guys have seen it, but I'm not going to go into that right now. So what I've done is I've broken each order by consignment and status opposed to just item with consignment number and order number, and it was really horrible the way they were doing it. They were breaking it by each item, so you would have this information repeated like 10 times against every product all the way down. So I just removed all the clutter, cleaned it out, and put it there. So here we have it's the product. It's a clickable link. It will take you to the product page, so you can go view it. It tells you how much you've ordered, how much is dispatched, and this is information that we have already, so I'm not proposing any technical changes here. Same here. With this one here, the users order 250 of this, but we can only send them 200 because the rest of them are out of stock. So we're messaging that to them on the interface.
Which ones are due to dispatch?
These ones.
Awaiting dispatch.
Yeah.
So it's almost like duplication, isn't it? Awaiting dispatch and due to dispatch.
Yeah, so I thought about putting it in there, but then you can have multiple messages on some of these. So to keep the messaging consistent now, I would suggest that a project is done in the future where we look at all the messaging states and all the states that come out of this. And see a better way to do this, but this is purely a recommendation of what they have. Mobile team can't really rock the boat too much, but they can do a better UI implementation of it, that's for sure. And then the second one, as you can see, is dispatch for delivery, and this is a different consignment number, so they're two different deliveries that are coming. And that might be because it's come from a different warehouse or so on and so forth. And that's that. And then you've got the call to action to check another order right at the bottom if they get to the bottom and think, yeah, this is not what I wanted.
So in reality, two products can be given the same reference, although that they were placed, the order was placed for both of them at the same time.
Yes, okay. Because
they come from different
warehouses. Yeah. So it's wherever they can fulfill it from. Mm. So you could have a product in two places. That's not uncommon, to be honest. Okay, so this is one carrier with 3 consignments on a back order. So over here we have, I don't know why the images have not loaded, but anyway, okay. Why? It's still loading. I am tethering from my phone, you see, because the internet is so rubbish here. We'll put that over here, maybe that'll be better. Matt, can you still hear us?
Yes.
Yes. All right. Cool. All right. So over here, this is a order with 3 consignments. So it's a bit similar to what you just previously seen, but there was should that not be 1 on back order? Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, it's 3 consignments. That one should probably actually read dispatching on or something.
Okay.
This button will be disabled if there's no track link, so it will be grayed out. Parcel tracking 0, carrier 0, consignments. This is when the order's been placed, but it hasn't, been assigned anything. As you can see, buttons disabled. Carrier is null. Reference is null. Order placed, awaiting dispatch.
So, sorry, come again. What does the track do if it was?
So if you click track, it will take you to DPDT's website, Parcel
Okay.
Force's website, Royal Mail's website, whoever we're.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and it will have the tracking link in there, I think. So it will have so it should send you to the page where it actually gives you details of where the parcel is.
So just generating all of the tracking number. Just
Yeah. It just generates.
Dynamically,
Yeah, it generates a URL. Yeah. Then we have over here direct link. So if somebody has a direct link to the order and they hot link to it and they're not logged in or they've shared it with somebody who doesn't have access to their account, then they will get an order not found. Only for direct link. It's an edge case, really small edge case. Order confirmation is so. I was thinking, your order's been placed, maybe a forward journey to the order status so they can check it. That button can be designed however you want it to be designed for mobile. I'm just saying, let's place a button there. Now, that in a nutshell is parcel tracking, and that's what I proposed for parcel tracking. Now, I got a number of states from Teslin. These are the states from SAP. Now, we can't change states. We can't change the wording, unfortunately, because they're localized in God knows how many languages. And all we can do is define a pattern for these. And what I was trying to define was by myself, and I've done a part of this, as you can see, but I've got this area of unsures. I did send an email out, but I didn't really get much response from that. So at the top here, I'll use my mouse instead of pointing at the screen, sorry. So at the top here, we've got the positive messages. Your order has been dispatched. Your order has been dispatched for delivery. It's a duplicated message. I don't know why they have to. Don't ask me, but we do, right? Okay. Same here. These are neutral, so these are like something's happening. It's not a negative thing for you to worry about. These are negative journeys. Yeah. No order matched your search criteria. No details available. Your order's been cancelled. No details available. Please call or try later. So. The ones that I was unsure about are these 3 down here, and I would just like us to discuss and think about in the pattern above, where do these fit? Or do we need to develop a 4th state? Yeah, because I wanted to try a traffic light signal sort of, because that's what I worked out for the stock messaging quite a long time ago, was, green is good, orange is I need to read this, red is I definitely need to do something, yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So in the test that we've done with stock messaging, and bear in mind it's a pre-order, and we're talking about now about post-order.
Mm-hmm.
In pre-order, the main thing about messages is that we should make people aware particularly when something is out of the standard delivery time. So anything that it's either not available for delivery or to order altogether, or is something that takes more than next day delivery, people should pay attention to it because they are used to the standard delivery. And they might accidentally click on add to basket without realizing that something will take 10 days to deliver.
Yes.
Or might, as it stands, it might not be delivered at all. It still goes to the basket if it is discontinued. So that's what we found so far on stock messages. So there are these 2 things: it goes or it shouldn't go. Should be paid attention and.
So, in my opinion, so based on thank you for that information, Hugo. So based on what you just said, and just looking at these messages. The first one, your order has been packed. If we look at the elements of this sentence, your order has been packed. That's like a positive message. Awaiting dispatch is like it's a neutral message. Like, obviously we're not going to do half and half because that's just silly, you know. So what I would say this should be is, because the primary action of this is still in a neutral stage, if we think of it like a rule, we should take the lowest common denominator and use that as the default state for the whole message. So so this one should be neutral then, because the lowest denominator in here is neutral. This one should be neutral because the lowest denominator again is neutral, and this one again is neutral. So it's like, if somebody ignored that, that's fine. We kind of want them to ignore that. It doesn't matter. It's green. It's great. I don't need to read it. It's, you're telling me something's positive.
We still need
This here is like, whoa, okay, you're giving me a different color, an orange. It's an amber. It's telling me to be ready for something. It's
yes.
So I think all these three should be neutral based on just reading them now and thinking about it. How do you feel about that, Matt?
Yeah, fine.
Cool.
Basically the same meaning as the neutrals.
Yeah.
You just can't extend it, just give it more explanation.
Yep.
That's it.
So, all right, that was easy. That's done. That's the first part of the meeting done. I'm gonna move on to login states now.
Yeah. So what is still important is to make sure that people pay attention to it when it shows on the screen of a mobile. If it isn't too bright for that yellow to kind of clear up too much.
Don't worry about the colours. That's Eric's job. But I'm saying
All those colours has been tested.
Yeah, not these
So
ones.
standard.
Not these ones as well.
Yeah.
I don't know if I lifted this from your thing. I just colour picked it. Yeah.
Okay.
These are not your colours. Yeah.
So are we using my colour?
Yeah, we use your colours there.
Yeah.
Cool.
So in the whether a white background is as appropriate as a colored background. So if a yellow box with the lettering inside white or any other color,
It's never happened.
or that in white background with
I think
that
with
orange, what is that make that message stand out enough that people will read it on the confirmation?
I think it's also depending on the positioning where you putting those messages.
And the position.
Well, the messaging is, you've already seen it, right?
Yeah.
The messaging will be here. It precedes its primary information here.
Yeah. So
We can put it in a background if you really want, but I don't want to overload the page with lots of sort of these message states, because we're using message states to indicate errors and alerts and information and so on and so forth. And this is more, it's not a message states we're generally using as a consequence of an action. And here it could be more relevant to just have it in a primary color on the interface. Maybe it needs some iconography.
Yeah.
Maybe it doesn't, but that's something that we can explore.
Yeah. You've got a very long one. The third unsure one, for example. I wonder how will that look
Which one?
on the mobile
This one?
screen. No, on the unsure.
That one?
Yeah. When you put, how many decks will that be on the mobile screen? Do you know what I mean?
Let's just go quickly check it.
I'm sure that can be a design challenge.
Well, for sure they won't miss it then. I'm pretty sure they won't miss that, right? It doesn't. Yeah. It unfortunately it doesn't, cascade nicely, but fine. That will be readable. It'll be a big blob of orange text in your face. But if you imagine the old version had this on every single product, that text on every single product. So, that's just how things work. All right.
Okay. So is that it?
That's it.
Perfect.
Anything to add, Matt? Because I know you unmuted yourself.
You
No.
don't want to stay on the next one, the login?
I mean,
Yeah, if you want.
if you think UXR will have any involvement in this,
I think so. Just
Yeah.
have some visibility on
We
it.
don't know yet.
It'll only
but,
take.
you know,
I mean, our first meeting finished in 15, so why
Yeah.
not?
Okay.
It's not going to take long.
Yeah.
Okay. So another project which I was working on was the register on mobile. Now this imposed a few new entrance points to the registration journey. So before in version 1 or whatever version it was, there was no register journey on mobile. They're now looking at adding it in. So the first interaction point that I'm highlighted is when you click on the account icon, you get the login link, which is there at the moment, and I'm proposing that we put the register underneath it.
Mhm.
That's one new interaction point. Then we have the register page itself. I'm not going to go over that because that's just practically ported over from desktop with a few different interactions. So ignore that one. Ignore that one. Okay, so the login overlay is, so if you click login to RS, I thought, well, if somebody wants to log in because there was a login before and there wasn't a register, maybe I don't know why they'd want to do that. But anyway, I've put a link at the bottom here to say create an RS account, which gives you a link to the register page. So it's just a single text link at the bottom of the login form.
Mhm.
Then the other thing I was looking at was the login page during checkout. So you press checkout, and generally people build their baskets without being logged in. They don't realize that they're not logged in. And at this point, they'll land on this page and they'll see login, guest checkout, and register on the page. Now, I didn't want to expand all of them because I wanted them all to be in view, and I measured this, and all this will fit in view up to about here. So I think that works out to be like 460 odd pixels minus browser guttering on the top, whatever they put on there. So
when they press checkout, they'll come to this screen,
Mhm.
and that modal will be open already, or
Mhm.
will all they be closed?
I'm proposing logins open by default.
What about if I want to guess? Is that because we are trying to push for?
A login, because we know a lot of our customers already are registered users.
Mhm.
A lot of people that check out are registered users. We know that.
Okay.
So what we're trying to do here is mitigate a click for them
Yes.
and say, here's the form, it's already opened. I'm not proposing that we focus the username by default because if the keyboard comes up, it'll obscure the rest of the content. So the form is open, they will have to manually click into the username field. And then
talking of mobile, it's always difficult to type on mobile devices.
Yes.
And, the guest checkout can be a good alternative to having to type my username and password.
generally
Like
people will
that.
have this auth in their browser. So auth, like keychained and remembered and saved.
Yeah,
And,
I do have
Yeah.
that. I wonder how common these
It's
things
very
are
common.
on mobile.
Very common. Because a lot of people hate typing. Like if you have to type your login details every time, like why can you not remember my login details? A lot of people use saved passwords, specifically because your browser asks you like, do you want to save this password? You're like, yes, of course, come on,
Yeah.
So that could be already authed. So all the user has to do is press that login button.
Because this is not the apps, so it's still a browser journey. So
Yeah.
if they're using the
Has
same
to be
browser
secure,
as
yeah.
the desktop and the mobile, they should be automatically saved.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder. I mean, if we should give the option of them choosing before with all the free options visible. and
I thought about that, but then I prefer it being open because it's not using too much of the viewport, and we know most of our sessions are going to be logged in users. Almost all of our sessions before on mobile, a while back, were guest users because we didn't have a login feature. But as soon as we had login, it skyrocketed. The number of guest checkouts were substantially smaller than logged in checkouts.
Yeah. Okay. So we've got those numbers already. Okay.
Yeah. I'd speak to Tesla. You can dish those out to you.
Yeah.
And then so if the user selects guest, it's like that. And then, it's like, here you go, email open. And if the user selects register, it will just take them to the register page. So there is that option. There is also the idea that we could have the register a bit more open anyway by default at the bottom, and they could scroll instead of having to click into it. Or having some benefits of why they could register and stuff, but it feels a bit copy heavy. This was what I was thinking for order confirmation. So if the user's checked out as a guest,
I'm listening.
you need to look. If the user's checked out as a guest, we're having a big call to action at the bottom about why they should register. So this is only on guest checkouts. This is why you should register. Just select a username, enter your password, and tell us what organization you're from, and just press register, and your account's created.
Great.
So that is the idea of register. Now, as far as I'm aware, Teslim did say something like they might not do this in version 1, but what they might do is put a register link on the page to start with, like for MVP, which will take the user to the register page. They're going to have to re-enter all their details that they entered previously, unfortunately. But it will allow them to measure how many people want to register from successful checkout. And then if they can build a business case from the number of people that click it, they will then add this. But I did, and I'm sorry, Teslim, you can't back yourself up, so I can't confirm if that was exactly what you said. But my thoughts and feelings on it is that you will get a higher number of registrations from here because the user only has to enter 3 things, you know. Their name, their username, a password, retype their password, and tell us what organization they're, like, what role do they play. Because it mitigates all the other fields that they have to fill. But it will be a good indication to see what happens from here. So that's it. So the direction that I wanted to talk about was, and a question that Teslim had for us was, what should be the default view on this page? How should this page look when the user lands on it from checkout and they're not logged in? Because that's the only time they can see it. That's what I'm proposing.
So
how does everybody else feel?
What journey again?
So you've gone to your basket, you've populated, you've checked out.
I have not.
You're not. Well, you can not be registered. You can not be logged in. You can be any of those 2 types of users. And this is the page that you're going to land on. And if we look at the viewport size, and I'm just going to go manipulate the viewport now so I can show you what it will look like. No, let me not do that. Let me do the height. So actually, the register doesn't fit in. So, oh, shit. I just recorded that. So at 480 pixels, which is iPhone 4, which is ancient technology these days, that's what users will see. On 568 pixels, that's what the user will see. So on most devices, which are now 568 pixels, I know that's slightly zoomed out, I do apologise. Let me do that 300 and, no, let me just do that at 800 pixels so it doesn't zoom out so much. 100%. Yeah, so that's what the user will see there. So at 568 pixels, which is iPhone 5 dimensions.
How about iPhone 4?
I just
you just
yeah.
instead of 1.
Yeah, that's where registration's a bit chopped. And the intention is that these are accordions.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, how does everybody feel about my proposal? Does anybody want to propose something else? Matt, maybe you want to interject as this project's quite close to you as well.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about this page. I wonder if we can gain any more vertical space back just by reducing some of the padding or like the containers. Although I know you've used the same pattern we use in the basket in the checkout process, haven't you?
Mm-hmm. I have.
Selected. I don't know how much we have to worry about really old phones, you know.
Well, Yeah. We could just very quickly go look at the browser stats.
Oh yeah, you could do. Excuse me.
Sorry, I'm boring you, mate.
No, you're not. You're not at all. Just tired.
Heavy night.
My mouth is still like really numb, so I'm struggling. It feels weird to talk.
Oh, did you go to the dentist this morning?
Yeah.
Oh,
What do you do?
I don't remember.
I just had like a scale and polish and a filling.
Yeah.
It's going to probably say you can't use the same password now. Yeah.
Oh, why? I can't send you.
The network's really bad today.
Is it?
Yeah. That's why I'm tethering from my phone. Right, so...
You're checking the usage of that mobile, the screen side.
Yeah, just very quickly. I think I have it here. There we go. Do you know how you limit it by just mobile? Mobile site DA approved, that's the one. Okay. One second.
Okay.
Cool. Doing it for a year. This can't be right because it's got like, well, no, it could be right because some tablets are 1,200 pixels, aren't they? 1,280 pixel tablets.
Nation.
No, some of the Android tablets are.
Mm.
Not just Asia, it's just some Android-y tablets. Give it a second, it's working the last year's data. But just by looking at this data, you've got, sorry, I used width as my dimension, didn't I? I needed to use height. Okay, you say running in the background, you come here. Height. Oh, mobile screen height. I don't know if that's going to be browser screen height, or I don't know if that's going to be right, but let's look at that. So you can see those are the iPad users, right? And then 480.
Mm.
Can you close that?
Yeah, I just want to set the data for a year.
Ooh, that will take a while now.
It should be generally not that slow, to be honest. This one loaded up, but this is width, so ignore that.
Mm-hmm.
I think what we want to do is see height. So, there's too much unspecified in that. Let me.
Is that 1.6? It is, yeah.
That's too much of it's unspecified. So let me do browser height instead.
Which is a great
Yeah.
indicative.
Yeah. So, and then let me just grab that mobile DA approved, mobile site DA approved. And then I already have it on there, don't I? That's fine.
Mobile site currently just UK, right?
No, it'd be worldwide.
Currently.
No, is the mobile site just the UK? No, it's launched in almost all markets now, I think.
Right.
I don't know if it's all markets yet, but I know it's all. I know it's a lot of markets. Yeah. They've launched it in quite a lot of markets.
Asian not happy.
Hmm?
APAC not happy.
Yeah, because it's not enough colours.
Is that right? No.
And
Joking.
and not enough cheesy animations. And,
Are you serious or are you just joking?
pulling your leg. But no, we haven't culturally designed it for Asia, so we need to do a different design for Asia.
We should have APAC designers.
Pretty sure we could design APAC. We've got that's why they brought Eric on.
What are you trying to say?
As a reason.
What are you trying to say?
So if you log into the website tomorrow and there's like
You know you're recording this conversation. I can take it to HR very easy.
I see what you're saying, but there's one slight problem with what you just said. It's on my laptop. Might just edit out a big section of this meeting. We'll send it. I might. No, what I'll do is actually I will edit out a bit of this meeting. Put some animations and some colours in the middle, and that's
And put a song on top of like the conversation.
Yeah. So heavy metal. All right. So this is.
I have 10 minutes.
There you go. Most as I thought. 37% of our mobile users are on 568 pixels. 9.8% of our users on 480 pixels. These are those weird Samsung users on 24.9%. So
the first one is an iPhone.
Yeah, 568. Yeah, it's kind of like the standard, isn't it? So, so let me go back here. So this view here will be for 9.8% of mobile users. It's not a lot, to be honest. Almost close to 40% of mobile users will see this, or bigger. So I think, in terms of screen size, we've probably covered it. We could tighten some things up, but you're not going to get much.
I think you should definitely put this on the testing log. If any testing takes place in the future on mobile, we should be able to go to this log sheet. Maybe I can create one and send it to you guys, and have this as a question. It doesn't matter if we're gonna test it in next week or in a month's time.
Yeah.
But
So
the question whether I'm a guest, I don't want to register, or I'm registered and I don't want to log in. And I use the mobile for the first time, and am I going to see those options below the login pane or not? I think it's a very valid question.
What I would suggest instead of I would suggest that that's done via MVT instead of asking questions. It would be good to put tracking on these objects and open.
Yes.
Do a few split tests, multivariate tests. Variant one being login is open, and see how many people open another panel and measure the number of measure the percentage of people that will log in and the percentage of people that open another panel and do something else. Second test being guest checkout, measure the number of people that will then go somewhere else.
I would test this one. I would test another one with the 3 closed, and I would test a third one with that pane open, but the 2 options below going above the whole pane.
Yeah.
So that the people that are dismissed by that pane can see their options right at the top.
Okay.
And the ones that will use that pane, it's very clear that it's still there.
Okay.
It's a bit more inclusive. Inclusive as an option.
So that's a note for you, Teslim. Potential MVTs on variants of this page. So closed, or collapsed, all open, and then potentially pushing register and guest checkout above login whilst login is open. Might be a variant for you to test in the future. So how does everybody feel about this being the default layout going forward? Because Teslim is after a decision because he needs to deliver. He needs to build something.
Yeah. I'm okay with that.
Yeah. Matt?
Yes. Yeah, it's fine, mate. I think it works. It works.
Yeah. All right, cool.
All right.
That's
Makes
it.
sense.
Thank you, everybody. Meeting adjourned.
Thank you.
What's on?
Can you share
Cheers.
this video again?
Yeah, I just need to do a bit of
Right.
editing first.
All right.